Hi, today we're going to be talking about one of the most misunderstood concepts about reverb, and ultimately why if you get this one parameter wrong, you're going to end up with less professional mixes and ultimately less clarity and also less depth inside of your mixes. So welcome to Dinosaur Dog Studio, where I'm helping independent artists mix and master their music like a professional so you can create as much music as you want without being beholden to somebody else's creative vision or budgetary constraints. If you don't know me, my name is Tyson and I'm an engineer over at Night Owl Music Group, where we help independent artists build careers in music. Without any further ado, let's dive into today's video, which is pre-delay, why it matters inside of your mix, what it is, and then also how to utilize it inside of your mix to get amazing depth and clarity and ultimately have more professional sounding mixes. So let's dive in. Okay, so let's dive into pre-delay, what it is, why we care, and ultimately what it can do for us inside of our mixes. So the very first thing we need to cover with pre-delay is actually the three parts of reverb. So there are three main parts of reverb. Ironically, none of them are actually the pre-delay, but they're very related to the pre-delay, so we'll get back to that here in just a second. So the three parts of reverb are the direct sound, which is the sound coming at us, right? In other words, the dry sound. So without reverb, it's the same thing, right? That's the direct sound. The early reflections. So that is basically when the sound comes off of the speaker, what the sound source hits one reflection, maybe two reflections, and then comes to us in our little ear holes, and we can actually hear what is happening, right? So that's essentially giving us the distance, generically speaking, from the sound source to our ears. Okay, so there's several different parameters when it comes to distance, pre-delay being one of those. And so that's very important though to take away from this, that early reflections is very distance related in terms of how we perceive distance with reverb, okay? And then the third part of reverb is late reflect. So late reflections are when the source of the sound produces the sound and then it bounces off multiple different surfaces before hitting us in our ear holes. And that essentially allows us to get the character of the room, but it's not very good at giving us distance because all of these little tiny reflections are built up and it creates this more smooth sound because there's just a million of these little reflections all hitting us milliseconds or microseconds apart from one another. So it's very difficult for us to tell distance from the late reflections, but it's very important to give us that wash sound. And it does have something to do with distance, so don't hear me wrong, but it's less to do with distance and more to do with character of the room that you're standing in, okay? So those are the three parts of reverb, and I'm gonna explain these a little bit more as we go along, so stick with me. If you don't quite understand it, we're gonna get there. What does pre-delay have to do with any of these three things? Pre-delay is the distance between the direct sound and the early reflections, or rather the time delay between the direct sound and the early reflections, okay? So this is, the most misunderstood concept when it comes to reverb, and I'm gonna jump into that right now. So let's give ourselves two scenarios. This is scenario one. We have a room and we have a sound source, and then we are the little black dot there, okay? That's us. That's where we're located inside of this room. The direct sound comes directly from the speaker into our ears, and then we can therefore hear what's happening from the speaker. Now let's talk about the other reflections, the other parts of reverb, right? Because every room has some sort of reverb. So in this room, we have the early reflection. So the early reflection comes from the speaker to the back wall and then hits us in the ears. So that essentially is, again, telling us how far that element or the sound is from us. And you'll tell it has to travel pretty far. It has to travel from the actual speaker all the way back to the back wall and then all the way back to us. So it's quite a distance that has to travel. Granted, that probably only takes 14 milliseconds or something, based on the size of the room. So now let's dive into late reflections. Late reflections is, again, coming from the sound source, but it's bouncing off multiple surfaces, multiple walls before actually hitting us. And so therefore, we get a bunch of these all at the same time, which is kind of that wash sound, but it loses a lot of energy going all the way from the sound source, bouncing off before it actually finally hits us. And therefore, it's actually losing a lot of energy along that way. And so it'll probably be a lot quieter than, say, the early reflections or especially the direct sound from that. So hence why reverb generally is perceived as quieter than the direct sound. so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so let's break this scenario down in terms of when these reflections are all hitting us. So assuming that distance equals time, so it takes things that are further away longer to travel than it does short distances, assuming there's no like weird gases or anything in our room and it's just a normal room, then we can assume that the direct sound is going to get to us very, very quickly, let's say 1 millisecond. Then the early reflections, right, because it's coming from the sound source all the way back to the back wall and then to us, it's gonna take it a little bit longer. So it's gonna take 14 milliseconds, as I mentioned earlier. Now the late reflection, right, let's assume again, we're having to travel a long ways from between all these different points where it's hitting off the walls and whatever else is in the room before it finally hits us. It's about 50 milliseconds before the late reflections finally hit us, generically speaking. Obviously, there are more early reflections than just a single one, but just for simplicity's sake, this is where we're going. That is scenario 1. Let's go to scenario 2. So scenario 2 is actually changing the parameter of where the sound is coming from. So let's assume that instead of close to us, the sound is really far away. So basically as far away as possible from us. So the direct sound, as you'll notice, has much further to travel to reach us than the prior scenario, which makes sense, right? It's just further away. But the interesting part is that when we, again, break down these times, so the direct sound is 10 milliseconds, the early reflections is only 11 milliseconds because, again, it's still traveling the length of the room, but because it's so close to the back wall, it almost reaches us at the same time as the direct sound. So it's actually very, very close together. And then the late reflection, again, it cuts off a little bit of time because it's having to travel, again, kind of the same distance all the way forward, but it doesn't have to travel back in the same way. So those late reflections are hitting us a little bit earlier, but not really that significantly comparatively to the other scenario. Okay, so let's examine these two scenarios that we just outlined, what is actually occurring with these different elements of reverb and specifically dialing in what the pre-delay looks like in these two scenarios. So the first one, again, direct sound, 1 millisecond, which is close, versus 10 milliseconds, which is the far scenario. Early reflections, they're not that different, but if you'll notice, the difference between the direct sound and the early reflections is quite significant. And then the late reflections, again, not really that much different between the two scenarios. Okay, again, pre-delay is the distance between the direct sound and the early reflections. So this is significant because the pre-delay on the close scenario is 13 milliseconds, while the pre-delay on the second scenario is only 1 millisecond. And yeah, I made a mistake there, so please call me out. But the pre-delay, right, is only 1 millisecond versus 13 milliseconds. This means that the longer the pre-delay is, the closer it's perceived to the listener. And vice versa, the shorter the pre-delay is, the further away that item is perceived. So let's go back to our image here to break that down. So remember, the direct sound hits us really quickly in this first scenario. The early reflection takes a while because it has to go all the way from the sound to the back of the room and then back to us. Versus this scenario, they almost hit us at the same time because the early reflection is already in the back of the room and only has to hit off one surface and therefore reaches us at basically the same time as the direct sound. This is the most misunderstood concept inside of reverb. So longer pre-delay equals closer, shorter pre-delay equals farther. Okay, how do we use this inside of our mix? That is a great question. Let's dive into the DAW and take a look. If you're unable to get that professional sheen or quality or vibe for your songs, then I want to let you in on a little secret. Most mixers are trying to compensate their lack of professional mixes by getting more plugins, by using more advanced tips or tricks or techniques in their mixes, or relying on buying more professional gear in order to compensate for their lack of quality mixes. But in reality, most mixers' core problem is actually mixing subjectively or approaching mixing from just a creative mindset entirely. Obviously, mixing is still a somewhat of a creative skill. It's actually far more objective than most people realize. Because if we think about it, everyone agrees on what a professional mix actually is. If that weren't the case, then it would be an entirely subjective field. But in reality, mixing is actually incredibly objective because everyone agrees on what a pro song sounds like. And so mixing objectively can actually help you avoid being your own worst enemy inside of your mixes and ultimately allow you to just check all of the boxes that a professional mix should check, and then your mix will sound objectively professional. And so if you're mixing your own music and you're motivated to actually learn the objective skill of mixing, and if you want to ensure that your music sounds pro, then I would love to help you out by teaching you the 5 objective standards that everybody is judging your mix by, and how you can use objective mixing to solve those 5 problems inside of your mix, and then also how to do all of that in under 3 hours per song without pro gear, premium plugins, or utilizing templates or presets. So this is something that piques your interest, then go to theobjectivemix.com to order my brand new book, The Objective Mix. This will teach you how to mix objectively professional mixes every single time you sit down to mix. This provides you with my entire mixing workflow, along with all of the breakthrough lessons that I've learned in the last 16 years of mixing music. So if that is interesting to you at all, then again, go to theobjectivemix.com or click the link right below this video. Can't wait to see you on the inside. With that, let's get back to the video. Okay, so now we're gonna be diving into the DAW here and looking at exactly what pre-delay does to our reverb and how we can actually use it to implement this distance idea inside of our tracks in a real mixing scenario. So, and I'm going to be using the lead vocal and the harmony vocal just to describe this and evaluate exactly how to do this, because oftentimes, right, we want our harmony vocals to be supporting the main vocal, and while we want them to be nice and transparent and apparent in the mix, we don't want them to be as forward as the lead vocal. So we want the lead vocal to be more forward than the harmony vocal. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing here with just pre-delay. So what I've done here is I've added a bus to my to my vocal bus into this other one over here, and this is going to be our lead verb. And then we're going to have harmony verb over here. And again, this is more just for example's sake to show you exactly what pre-delay does in the mix rather than an actual technique that I would use in the mix. I have a little bit more sophisticated process for creating depth inside of my entire mix using these concepts that I'm teaching you about reverb. But without further ado, let's dive into what pre-delay does specifically. So I'm going to play just the raw for you. You can kind of get a feel for what's going on here. The lead vocals in the center, harmonies are panned hard right and left, so you can get an idea of where we're at here.
I don't think about you, no. You don't think about me that way.
Okay, so they're both kind of apparent, they're both present, not really, one's doesn't really feel that much more forward than the other. So I'm gonna add some reverb to the lead vocal. It is just this generic chromaverb room that we have on here. So let's just take a listen to where we're at with that.
I don't think about you, no. You don't think about me that way.
So it does separate the lead vocal, but it also does kind of push it back in the mix. If there does appear to be a reason why it doesn't feel further back, that's just because it's louder, because this reverb is adding volume to the vocal overall. Okay, so our first step is to, on the lead vocal, let's actually push it back in the mix. And so we're just gonna lengthen that pre-delay by about 30 milliseconds. So generically speaking, you can go anywhere from 25 to 40 milliseconds on that pre-delay based on how big the room is. So the larger the room, the longer pre-delay we can get away with. So for like a hall or a church kind of reverb, we can get by with much longer pre-delays than we can with, say, a room. So this room is maxed out on size, so I think 30 milliseconds seems appropriate. Again, if it was a smaller room, I'd probably go down closer to like 20-25 milliseconds on that with the pre-delay. So changing nothing else in this reverb, right? We've now increased the distance between the direct sound and that first reflection that we can hear. So what this is going to do is separate the reverb from the vocal just a little bit and be able to actually increase the perception of closeness of that lead vocal.
I don't think about you, no. You don't think about me that way.
So let's back it off to 0 again. Let's listen to just the lead vocal here.
I don't think about you, no. You don't think about me that way. I don't think about you, no. You don't think about me that way.
So it is relatively subtle, but you should be able to feel that just sense of closeness when we raise the pre-delay to 30 milliseconds. So it actually does bring that vocal a little bit closer. It is not the biggest lever when it comes to distance with reverb, but it is very, very important to have that in place to create that separation between the direct sound and that early reflection of the reverb. Okay, so now let's add in our second reverb. So again, I have a second bus set up with my harmony vocals. And so I'm going to be copying this same plugin over, and I'm going to lower the pre-delay to 0 milliseconds, right? So I'm trying to make this relatively obvious. Let's actually raise this just a little bit more on the lead vocal. So now we should have a sense of closeness with the lead vocal and further away from the harmony vocals. And I'm gonna back both these off just by a little bit, just to make it a little bit more realistic in a real mixing scenario. So here's before.
I don't think about you, no. You don't think about me that way. I don't think about you, no. You don't think about me that way.
So this is just our very first lever with reverb, but hopefully this opens your eyes on what pre-delay actually is and how it can help you inside of your mix. All right, so hopefully this dispelled any misconceptions that you've had about pre-delay and the fact that a longer pre-delay does actually indeed move things closer versus a short pre-delay will actually push things back in the mix. Again, remember that visualization of if it's something right in front of you, it takes about 1 millisecond to reach you versus going all the way to the back wall and then back to you for the early reflections. So that's, at least for me, that's been very, very helpful in remembering longer pre-delay is closer, shorter pre-delay is longer or further distance. Okay, so that is the one thing that if you took nothing else from this video, that is what I want you to remember and implement inside of your own mixes. So thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.